It's one of the biggest questions we ask ourselves, right? Can money actually buy happiness? I mean, we hear that old saying all the time, but let's be real. In the world we live in, it's a question that feels more important than ever. So we're going to get into it because, believe it or not, the Buddha weighed in on this over 2,500 years ago. And his answer? Well, it's way more practical and surprising than you might think.
So let's just ask it straight up. Is that old cliche true? Think about it. We spend so much of our lives working, trying to earn a living, build some security, take care of our families. Is all of that effort, all of that time, completely disconnected from what it means to be truly happy?
Now, you'd probably expect a great spiritual teacher to just dismiss money entirely, to say it's all a trap, an illusion. But that's not what the Buddha did. His actual teachings for regular folks, for people living in the world, are incredibly down to earth. He doesn't start with rejection. He starts with an acknowledgement.
And that brings us to the first really interesting part of his answer. The Buddha actually described 4 specific kinds of happiness, or joys, that a normal person can experience in their life. And guess what? 3 of the 4 are directly tied to having wealth.
Here it is, right from an ancient text called the Anushyana Sutta. He's talking to a householder, which is basically just the ancient word for a layperson, someone like you or me. He's not talking to a monk living in a monastery, he's talking to someone with a job, a family, and he lays out 4 totally legitimate joys that are available to them.
So here they are. First, the joy of just having stuff, of ownership. Second, the joy of using and enjoying what you have. Third, the joy of being completely debt-free. And fourth, the joy of being blameless. Just notice that the first 3 are all about money and financial well-being.
Okay, let's break these down. The joy of ownership, that's the real satisfaction you get from knowing you have wealth that you earned the right way, through your own hard work. The joy of enjoyment is the pleasure you get from using that money, taking care of your family, being generous with friends, and doing good things. And the joy of debtlessness, well, that's that incredible feeling of freedom you get when you don't owe anyone a single thing. These are all real, valid types of happiness that the Buddha totally recognized.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, money can buy happiness. But hold on, because this is where the whole teaching takes a really sharp turn. The Buddha absolutely gives value to these material joys, but then he puts them in their place.
And this number right here, this is what puts it all into perspective. 1/16. What on earth could that mean? Well, this little fraction is the key to understanding the entire teaching.
And there it is, the punchline. The Buddha says that if you take all the happiness you get from owning things, enjoying them, and being debt-free, and you add it all up, all of that joy combined isn't worth even a 16th of the happiness that comes from that 4th joy, the joy of living an ethical, blameless life. So yeah, material happiness is real, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just a tiny slice of something much, much bigger.
So that, of course, brings up the next question. If material things are only a small part of the happiness puzzle, what's the rest of it? What is that true wealth? Well, the Buddha had a name for it, Arya Dana, or transcendental wealth. And it's made up of 7 inner treasures.
And what I love about this is how clear the distinction is. Worldly wealth is all external, right? It can be lost, the stock market can crash, it can be stolen. It gives you temporary comfort. But this other kind of wealth, this transcendental wealth, is internal. It's literally part of who you are. Nobody can ever take it from you, and it leads to a lasting sense of well-being.
So this is what it's all about. Arya Dana. These aren't things you can buy or own. They're qualities you have to cultivate inside yourself. They're the ultimate investment in your own happiness. The Buddha said that a person who has these 7 treasures is never truly poor, no matter how little they have in the bank.
And here's what they are: faith or conviction in what you're doing. Virtue, which is that foundation for a blameless life we talked about. A sense of shame and compunction, which is basically just having a good conscience. The treasure of being open to learning. Generosity, the genuine joy of giving. And finally, wisdom, the ability to see things clearly. This is the real portfolio for lasting happiness.
So where does all this leave us? What's the big takeaway? Does it mean we have to choose between being poor and spiritual or rich and stressed out? No, not at all. The real goal is to bring these 2 kinds of wealth together.
And this right here is the heart of it all. The point isn't to get rid of money. It's to understand what it's for. Think of money as a tool, not the final goal. Its real purpose is to build a stable enough foundation to create enough security and peace of mind that you have the freedom to then work on cultivating what really matters, those inner treasures.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The problem isn't the nice car or the fancy house. The problem is our endless craving, our constant wanting, our clinging to those things. It's the desire inside our own minds, not the thing out in the world, that ultimately causes our stress and dissatisfaction.
So in the end, the Buddha's answer is really a middle way. True wealth is a balanced life. It's a life where you have enough material comfort to feel secure, and that security gives you the time and the space to build the real fortune, your inner world of wisdom, integrity, and genuine peace.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Worldly wealth, money, it can definitely provide comfort. But according to this ancient wisdom, it's the inner wealth, it's wisdom that provides real freedom. So the question to ask yourself is, after hearing all this, what does true wealth really mean to you?